Happening now, a Jamestown man is speaking out after his apartment was broken into not once, but 3 times just this month. Plus, the hero officer who saved a Jamestown family from a fire earlier this year is receiving recognition this holiday season.
Well, that Lake Effect snow machine is going to start to wind down as we go through the day, but there could be some more on the way for next week. We'll talk about it next as the news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
A Jamestown man is speaking out after his apartment was broken into not once, but 3 times this month. Thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Our Dante Roberts joins us live from the newsroom with more on the break-ins. And Dante, I hear the man is now considering leaving the area altogether to try to get a break from this crime.
That's right, Justin. In early November, Richard Young's Spring Street apartment was burglarized, with the suspect kicking down his front door. Young, who says the man was an acquaintance of his.
He comes over one day, decides to kick my door in, bum rush me, started hitting on me, took some things. I don't even remember what he got off the table that day.
The man who Young says has since been charged in the crime was released later in the day because of New York State's bail reform laws. As for the 2 other break-ins that followed, Young isn't sure who is responsible.
They stole my laptop, had all my cryptocurrency information. I'm out all that money I made over the last 2 years. And I was just about to retire and move to Massachusetts.
Young has since taken extra precautions to secure his apartment, like boarding up a door in his bathroom that leads to the basement, an area of the property which is still unsecured even after he asked his landlord for help.
He's a slumlord. He lives in Florida. I used to get to contact him. I was never allowed to talk to this so-called Mr. Wilson that was his property manager at the time.
The living situation, Young says, is not ideal. The absentee landlord is blamed for several issues, like the lack of working heat in the house. Currently, Young uses his stove to warm up during the winter months. In the end, the Jamestown man tells us he will likely leave the area altogether.
I want out. There's nothing really, it's just not the state to be no more. New York used to be a great state to me. I would live in no other state. I love Buffalo. I love Buffalo area, the people. I don't know more.
This week, New York Governor Kathy Hochul hinted that she would be open to reforming the bail reform law, which went into effect in 2020. Many opponents to the legislation say that it is one of the primary reasons for repeat crimes like what Young experienced. Dante Roberts, WNY News Now.
A Ripley man has been charged with the alleged sexual assault on a juvenile in the town of Sherman. According to the Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigation Division, 20-year-old Patrick Howe of Ripley allegedly had sexual contact with a juvenile on November 2nd. He's charged with endangering the welfare of a child and was issued an appearance ticket for the town of Sherman at a later date. And 2 farmers in Cattaraugus County are facing animal cruelty charges after allegedly mistreating their cows. The Cattaraugus County Sheriff's Office says the 2 separate incidences happened in late October and mid-November, respectively. In the first alleged mistreatment, deputies report 55-year-old Darrell Oakes of Cherry Creek failed to provide proper food for a cow on his farm on Kickbush Hill Road in the town of New Albion. In the second incident, deputies alleged 51-year-old Russell Omner of Franklinville malnourished 20 calves on his property. Both were separately charged with failure to provide substance. Well, ahead of the busiest shopping season of the year, one of Jamestown's area retailers is stocking up on all things toys to meet his customers' demands. Our Bronson Rasmussen reports.
It won't be a scene from the classic holiday movie, Jingle All the Way. As Black Friday and Small Business Saturday approaches, owner of Chautauqua Comics, Al Steffens, reassures us that his inventory is unaffected by this year's shipping and supply issues.
I'm well stocked, okay? And I got plenty of inventory and all, so they don't have to worry about it, for those last minute shoppers. stop here at Chautauqua Comics. We'll be able to take care of them.
Some of Stefan's inventory includes Pokemon, Magic, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, and many more toys and games, including toys nostalgic to the older audiences.
We have all those antique toys right here inside the store. So you don't need to go up to Buffalo or Erie. Stop right here.
With recent shipping issues, shoppers may be fearful of not getting products that are on many Christmas lists. Steffens tells us that there is no need to fear because local businesses, including himself, have been stocking up on products ahead of the upcoming season.
I'm on the phone daily with my suppliers, making sure that my customers have what they need for the holidays.
Chautauqua Comics will be open on Black Friday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Small Business Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
Brunson, thank you. Well, the hero police officer credited with saving a Jamestown family from a fire this year will serve as the Grand Marshal for December's holiday parade. The parade's organizers, Collaborative Children's Solution, announced the news this morning that Officer Mark Conklin will lead the festive celebration. In July, Conklin helped save the Rivera family after they woke up in the middle of the night to their William Street home completely engulfed in flames. The footage from Conklin's body camera went viral, gaining over 100,000 views online. He was recognized for his life-saving work by the City Council and again will receive the merited praise during the holiday celebration. The parade is scheduled to kick off on Saturday, December 4th at 6 o'clock along 3rd Street in downtown Jamestown. We are the official broadcast partner, so we'd hope to see you on our live stream. And we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comment section down below. Now let's get a first check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joining us now in studio. And it looks like things have let off in the lake effect snow department today, Dakota.
Yes, the things, that lake effect snow has really started to taper off through the day. How about this look over the Randolph Peaches and Cream Skycam overlooking Wheaton Park? Yeah, that's a nice Christmassy scene right there. And, we'll talk about the snowfall totals a little bit later on, but you can see on the radar how that lake effect snow has really just kind of fizzled out across the southern tier. There still will be a few more flakes to go through the afternoon, but at least the most intense and widespread part of it is pretty much over with. As we told you, that was mainly going to be last night, and that's when it was. Now, this 60-degree high yesterday, that's deceptive. As we told you yesterday, this was 1 o'clock in the morning yesterday. So this high occurred while all of you were sleeping. The temperatures fell all the way down into the 40s and ultimately the mid-30s through the day. We started the day at 29, 70, and 10 are the record highs and lows. So through the afternoon, a few more lake effect snow showers. They taper off through the afternoon. Any of the heavier parts of that lake effect snow could see at least upwards of an inch on the highest hills, but it will be a brisk day though, 32 to 42. Look at that west wind at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Now we do get at least one dry day tomorrow, then more lake effect snow as we go into the Thanksgiving week. We'll talk about it in detail next. I almost said my tease. We'll talk about it next as the news at noon starts now, but we'll talk about it later in the show.
We're underway, Mr. Hunter. Thank you.
I'm ready for the weekend.
We'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Well, President Joe Biden's Build Back Better bill was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives today in what Jamestown's local rep says is a reckless move. The House approved the legislation by a near party line 220 to 213 votes, sending the measure to the Senate, where a cost-cutting demand by moderates is expected. Republican Congressman Tom Reed, who represents New York's 23rd Congressional District, called the spending plan reckless after voting against the legislation. Reed says we need to work together to solve the problems facing our country, but instead extremists in the Democrat Party made no attempt to find common ground and reach across the aisle. Reed went on to say that America's people will suffer the consequences of the bill. Now, the vote came after a nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimated that the package would worsen federal deficits by $160 billion in the coming decades. Well, prior to this morning's vote, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy tried to stall the process by launching into an hours-long speech that stretched into the early morning. Reed Binion is breaking down what he had to say and also what specifically included in the legislation.
When I look at this bill, it angers me. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy speaking into the early morning hours on the House floor, stalling the vote on the Build Back Better bill.
Every page of this new Washington spending supports more waste, more fraud, more abuse, and more corruption.
The $1.9 trillion social spending and climate package is a major part of President Joe Biden's domestic agenda. It would dramatically expand social services, boost health care access, address the climate crisis, and provide aid to families and children. That would translate to universal pre-K, an extension of the enhanced child tax credit, and affordable housing and home care for seniors and people with disabilities, among other things. The House debate and McCarthy's marathon speech coming after the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office released its final scoring of the bill. The CBO estimating the package would add $367 billion to the deficit. The White House countered that the package would be fully paid for, with revenue from increased tax enforcement covering the shortfall. The bill faces obstacles in the Senate. Democrats there can't afford to lose a single vote, but progressives and moderates in their party are still at odds over key provisions. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Next, details on a new tool to fight lake weeds in Dunkirk. And later, are you ready for Thanksgiving? We check in with a local grocery store to see if their shelves can meet demands. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues on this Friday.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
Remember when you were a kid, huddled around the television waiting for your school to close? Well, we don't get snow days. When winter weather hits, count on the First Defense Weather Team for a look into the future where the snow is headed next. Live radar showing you the scope of the storm, and real-time reports from the field. So when it matters most, stay with First Defense Weather.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now. You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Lawmakers in Chautauqua County have allocated over $20,000 to help fight lake weeds in the Dunkirk City Harbor. The municipality's public work director petitioned for the funds during this week's legislature meeting. The money comes from bed tax funding that will help pay for a weed harvester and combat invasive weed growth on the waterfront. The reason why this is important, officials say, is because of an upcoming fishing tournament. In 2022, the city is hosting the National Walleye Invitational Fishing Tourney. And as we first reported yesterday, new data from the CDC shows annual overdoses in the U.S. topped 100,000. In Pennsylvania, officials are warning the public of a rising polysubstance threat and say everyone can play a role and maybe even save a life. Our state capitol correspondent Brendan Scanlon with more.
The new data represent a growing threat to communities around the country. In Pennsylvania, officials are encouraging the public to be prepared.
Those numbers demonstrate just how pervasive addiction is in our communities, and we simply just can't rely on first responders to be the only ones to help respond in a crisis.
The data show the rise in deaths are largely driven by the synthetic opioid, fentanyl, being laced with other substances.
In this particular case, it was a combination of opioids and some kind of stimulant, either cocaine or methamphetamine.
Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs Secretary Jen Smith says the rising threat requires greater community efforts.
As community members, we have a responsibility to protect our loved ones and our neighbors, and doing so in this case means equipping yourselves with naloxone.
Naloxone is a life-saving medication that reverses the effects of an opioid overdose. Officials are telling Pennsylvanians how to use it and where to find it.
So the purpose today was to really encourage people to familiarize themselves with naloxone and to share with them how they can obtain naloxone.
Naloxone is available for first responders, medical professionals, and other organizations at centralized coordinated entities, or CCEs. For family, friends, and individuals who are at risk, a standing order was issued in March by Acting Physician General Dr. Johnson. The order essentially serves as a naloxone prescription for the general public.
You never know when you might have the opportunity to save a life, and you want to make sure that you have access to the medication to do that.
In Harrisburg, Brendan Scanlon reporting.
A report detailing the findings of an impeachment investigation into former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is expected to be released to the public in the coming days. That according to two members of New York State's Judiciary Committee. Now, members yesterday reviewed the 45-page report detailing findings from the independent investigation into allegations against the former governor, which launched more than 8 months ago. The report addressed topics including sexual harassment allegations against him, discrepancies in reported deaths in nursing homes from COVID, his pandemic leadership book deal, among other claims. It's unclear how the report will be released to the public, but the Judiciary Committee could hold a public meeting on it in Albany next week. Cuomo's attorney Rita Galvin addressed the impending release yesterday, saying the AG's first report, which started all of this, is a political move.
She's using that misleading report to bolster her campaign. When she announced on October 29th that she was running, the day after Sheriff Apple filed his charges, here's what she said. I've held accountable those who mistreat and harass women in the workplace. Yep. The report she used to force him out is now her platform.
The Judiciary Committee Chair Charles Levine declined to comment on whether the committee would accommodate her request. Well, throughout the pandemic, we've seen several shortages at the grocery store. And with Thanksgiving less than a week away now, if you haven't gotten all the fixings for your feast, you might be asking, am I out of luck? Erie News Now's Molly Zamora spoke with the folks at Surefine Grocery Store in Warren to see what they're experiencing.
You have certain things that are short on a weekly basis, and then certain things that are going up a lot in pricing too.
Todd Leroy is the owner of the local grocery store in Warren called Surefines, and tells me while many box stores are experiencing shortages for a Thanksgiving feast, that's not the case at Surefines.
It might not be the name brand, but we're going to have a cranberry sauce. We're going to have your green beans and stuff that you want. It might not be the ocean spray.
Leroy informs me while the prices are up a little, they pre-ordered turkeys in June and July to help with that.
We're still pretty close on pricing from last year. I think we're up like I think it's like 15 cents a pound from last year.
So if you're waiting until last minute to pick up the essentials for a Thanksgiving meal, Leroy tells me you don't have to worry at Surefines.
Absolutely, yep. Yeah, if they come in all the way up through next week, we should have it for them. Yep. Again, it's probably not the name brands they want, but if you want a cranberry sauce, we're going to have it. A stuffing mix, we're going to have it.
Certainly great news, Molly Zamora. Thank you for that. And we thank you for joining us here for WNY News Now, watching us on Facebook Live and channel 716 on Roku as well. Real quick note from the producers. It looks like Facebook was having some technical difficulties, so you might not have catch the first half of our broadcast, but don't worry, at 12:30 it will loop and be available on demand for you here. And of course, if you download the channel 716 on your Roku, you can watch us anytime, anywhere that you want. Well, Dakota, a lot of people are getting ready for Thanksgiving, and folks that I know have already pretty much stocked up their homes because they were sort of in anticipation of it. Did your family get out and stock up yet, or are you still waiting?
Well, we buy all this stuff months in advance.
Yeah.
So it's like, we've got the turkey. I mean, I think we have box mashed potatoes, but my dad makes killer homemade potatoes with the potatoes, and you mash them up.
Gosh.
So that's probably what he's going to do. Also, my dad also makes homemade rolls, so we don't have to buy those.
I am starving right now.
Yes,
so I wish
we've got the corn
we could fast
and all that
forward.
stuff, the stuffing, which personally I don't eat stuffing.
Yeah.
So,
I love stuffing.
We've got it all.
A little
We're
bit of
good.
gravy on top, mix it in with your turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and then the next day, hot turkey sandwiches for dinner with the leftovers.
You just made me really hungry. I'm really sad about that. Well, let's get a full check of your weather forecast, and hopefully there's really no hungry weather watchers out there, because we've got pretty much a taste of everything this week.
Yes, I mean, we've had some of that snow and, of course, some of those warmer temperatures earlier as well. So snowfall totals over the past 24 hours, and understand this is what came into us from the Weather Service this morning. Kennedy had almost 5 inches there, Jamestown a little over 3 inches, Gary 3.7, Falconer 3.5, Little Valley at 2 inches, and Mayville also at 2 inches. And understand the same thing that we talk about. There's a difference between snow depth, which is what's on the ground, versus what's actually been measured, what's actually fallen. So speaking of the snow depth, this is at the airport. 4 inches of snow on the ground at the airport brings our monthly total up to 8.7. Obviously the seasonal total 8.7, obviously running a bit more than half above average. Tonight is the North is basically the Class A Far West regionals for Jamestown and also Canandaigua. These are 2 strong teams here, both undefeated for the season, and this is going to be held at Strider Field tonight. 29 degrees at kickoff at 8 o'clock, down to around 28, so temperature is not really budging too much. There could be at least an isolated lake effect snow shower through at least the first half of the game, but then otherwise it's going to be overcast to mostly cloudy. So hopefully Jamestown can pull out another win and become regional Section A champions. Hey, to this person who's walking on the HD News Now cam right now, you're actually famous right now, walking on downtown Jamestown. Right now we're at 32 at the freezing mark with a west wind of 13, visibility at 9 miles, so there is a little bit of some fog being reported at the airport, and the wind chill down to 22. So yeah, you're going to need that coat as you step outside. And looking further down the road here, this is the next 6 to 10 days. It looks like colder than normal air is going to be surging on in at least through the Thanksgiving week. Can you believe Thanksgiving is next week? I mean, it's hard to believe that, but it looks like that cool air is going to stay in place. Lake effect snow machines are starting to shut off now across the Great Lakes region, but notice there's still some little light flakes being produced off Lake Erie, and that's going to continue through the afternoon. So Future Scan kind of overdoes some of the snow showers through the afternoon, but there could be a few spotty lake effect snow showers through the afternoon hours and through the evening. That tapers off, and then it turns partly to mostly cloudy. Tomorrow, I think more clouds than sunshine, but there will be some peaks of sunshine, but don't again expect full sunshine. And there could be at least a spot shower, mainly in the afternoon hours. Then as we go into Saturday night into Sunday, the next system arrives, so we're ultimately going to see more rain showers, and then temperatures go down again as we go into Monday. So temperatures through the afternoon likely lower to mid-30s here through the day. A few more lake effect snowflakes, but it still will be cold. And now I've got the next 7 days of your wonderful life. They're on this big old screen. So 42 tomorrow, 43 on Sunday with a few showers, maybe a few wet snowflakes on the hills. Temperatures go the opposite direction again on Monday, 37 and falling. Few lake effect snow squalls Tuesday, Wednesday looking dry, and then Thanksgiving Day itself could be a light rain or snow shower, but temperatures in the lower 40s. We'll take a break. Be right back.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
The registration is being run through the Chamber's sites, which is www.jtny.com. So if you go to click on that link, there's a fillable form online that you can just type in. We'll want to know, obviously a business name or a community group's name, the location, a contact name, and then if you just plan on marching or if you actually have a float. I come from a small business family, so small business to me is very important. I understand about being in downtown Jamestown and being a small business. I want to meet with them and I want to gauge if they're going to be open, number one. If they're number two, would they like to promote a special or something that evening that they can do just for the parade? A good friend of mine, like a teacher at Washington Middle School, Lisa Peters. What do you think about Jamestown, New York, a diverse city celebrating traditions from around the world? Perfect. That's us. That's who we are. That's a great theme.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. In an effort to help our furry friends find a forever home, we're partnered with the Chautauqua County Humane Society for our Pet of the Week segment. And joining us live is Brian Papalea to talk more about this week's featured furry friend. And just hanging out with you guys during the break, it seems like she's a really great dog.
Yeah, Flora is awesome. She's about 3.5 years old, and she pretty much gets along with everybody. She's even tested well with cats. She's tested well with other dogs. There are no kid restrictions as far as age. She does have really good energy. Something it's funny, she gets pretty bouncy sometimes, and I wondered how she'd do in the car because it had been a while since I've ridden in the car with her. And she got in the car and she looked out the window and then decided she was going to lay down, and she was very, very calm in the car. And another thing we get to test when we come here is stairs. You never know how dogs get to do with stairs, and she did really well. She actually was pulling me up the stairs.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was excited for the final destination. Which
She was.
Our happy slice of heaven here at WNY News Now. And I love having the dogs come in because it really gives you a good feel for how they do in new situations. Mm-hmm. And it seems like, looking at her right now, yeah, she's ready for anything. Yeah,
she's pretty calm.
And for the belly rubs.
Yes, loving the belly rubs.
So, how active, aside from today, is she? Is she a good walker?
She is. She's a good walker. She definitely likes to explore, and she likes to sniff. And she, as far as pulling, she's definitely strong, but she's not gonna pull you off your feet or anything like that. And when she's not in active mode, she definitely loves her cuddles. She was with me in the office for about 4 or 5 hours the other day, and we would play, and then she would sit down and lay next to me. So she's got both modes very well covered.
That's great. That's great. So if somebody is watching this and they say, Flora might be the dog for me. Everyone loves giving away animals at Christmas. Getting those in the I probably. Putting her in a box and unwrapping her probably won't work.
Not a good idea.
But nevertheless, I'm sure the kids would love it. What's the best way for them to kind of move that process forward? And I know I've asked this, I think, every time, but people can actually meet with her one-on-one.
Yeah. What we would do is we do dog adoptions by appointment, and they can fill out the application at chqhumane.org. And once we get that, we'll give you a quick call, set up an appointment. Then you come meet her, and if you have another dog, what we would do, depending on the distance you're traveling, if you're close enough, we will do a second visit to make sure that the dogs get along. And sometimes, if somebody's traveling from, say, like Warren or somewhere a little farther, we'll just set that up at the same time to make it more convenient for the people. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And something I'll kind of pre-promote, assuming she doesn't go home beforehand. Coming up this Saturday the 27th at the Chautauqua Mall, we'll be having an adoption day up there, and she'll be, like I said, if she hasn't gone home yet, she'll be one of the dogs up there.
Yeah.
from noon to 4.
Certainly want to check that out, noon to 4, and that's the next Saturday.
Yeah, after
following
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Thanksgiving, so yeah, and she's a great girl. I can't see any reason why she wouldn't go home, maybe even today. So
yeah.
Again, learn more about Flora or any other residents of the shelter at chqhumane.org. And if you want to adopt her, 665-2209. How late are you guys open on Friday?
We have people there till 6.
All right, there you go. That's it for us. Thank you, Brian. We'll see you back here on Monday.